Yeah, this is my third take of doing this video. I got really passionate during one of the takes, and I just started just using naughty words. You know what those naughty words are? They're not swear words. So I had to kind of I had to retake this video. First off, I want to ask my fellow TIs, how are you guys doing? How are you guys getting along? I hear there are some of you that are going through a quiet period where you're not having too much done to you in terms of directed energy weaponry or harassment. And I like that for you. I like the fact that you're getting some peace, like at fucking long last, because I know how hard some of you have had it, and you know, I'm happy for you. Then there are those of you that I know aren't getting a moment's peace, and my heart goes out to you. Again, please let me know in the comments like you've been doing, and I really appreciate it. Please let me know in the comments how you guys are doing, how you guys are getting along. I don't always respond because quite often it's difficult to know what to say, but I am reading everything. So please don't feel like you're being ignored. You are not being ignored at all. Okay? So, with that in mind, I'm going to level with you guys. I have made a recording of myself because what I do is I record things on my phone in an audio diary. I've talked about this before, but I record things on my phone in an audio diary because I remember telling you guys I used to think out loud sometimes for hours, talk to myself for hours. And doing it this way, like having an audio diary, it allows me to get my feelings out, but then it's being recorded. So it's not just me just having a mental breakdown and not having anywhere to put it. I audio record myself, audio record my thoughts. If I have a dream and I remember it, I note that down. It's actually very helpful for me. And also, it's also a lot of fun, like kind of, you know, having gang stalkers listen to all the shit that they've been a part of and all the shit that they've been complicit in. And just, you could just feel them fucking squirming, and it's great. It's fucking great. But, you know, that's what I do. And what I did today was I talked about my anger because I had a dream about my anger. And, you know, I did go into some of the stuff that happened during the dream, but it felt almost pointless to go into what the dream meant because it was very obvious what the dream was about. And I'm going to tell you what the core subject matter is of the dream. I'm not going to talk about the dream itself, but I'm going to talk about the core aspect of what that dream meant as I was waking up this morning. Basically, what I realized was this, and I've talked about it before, but it's worth repeating again. Righteous anger is the most punished anger there is. You see, I was watching a video last night about feminine rage or what have you. Like, there's this whole thing about feminine rage, and, you know, it's really about aesthetic. It's got nothing to do with emotion. But I was watching this thing about feminine rage, and, you know, there's something about, like, this emphasis on needing female villains that didn't sit right with me. And the reason it didn't, I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. The reason it didn't sit right with me is because whenever female rage is discussed, whenever, you know, women are getting angry, the only time where both men and women are interested in a woman's anger is if it's framed from a narcissistic perspective or framed from the perspective of a sociopath. We're not interested in a woman showing righteous anger where it counts. Like, she has to earn it by doing a lot of fucking crying first and a lot of being beaten around first before we give her the right to be righteously angry. So, you know, if a woman's going to show anger, either she has to be doing a lot of crying beforehand, or she's, you know, even if her anger is righteous, she's got to be humbled by the people around her. or if she's allowed to release her anger unfettered, she has to be seen through the lens of a narcissist or a sociopath. And again, it's not just men who want to see this, it's women who want to see this. They don't want to see their anger legitimized like that in fiction. They want to see their anger villainized. They want to see their anger monsterized. They want to see their anger being seen as something abject and ugly and gross. And even then, it has to be painted within this pretty picture of hot girls, and especially hot white girls, or hot white women. I should say women, you know, because, yeah. But like, you know, and what I'm thinking about is, why doesn't that sit right with me? Like, why do I not like that? And then it hit me. Righteous anger is the most punished anger there is in this world. I'm going to say it again. Righteous anger is the most punished anger there is. I thought about my own situation. And it occurred to me that whilst I was here weeping with guilt over some of the things that I've said and done in my life, that when it came to me being angry over, you know, when it came to the things that actually happened to me, I felt nothing. Or at least I was numb when it came to thinking about my own abuse or my own torture or my own trafficking. I was genuinely numb. And when it came to me being angry over what was done to me, it felt like a more performative anger when it came to acknowledging what had been done to me rather than righteous anger. I feel like genuine anger when I see someone else being hurt. I feel genuine anger when I see someone else being mistreated. I'm even angry at myself for mistreating others. But when it comes to the serious stuff that's been done to me, I hide. And I realize that this is because, again, righteous anger is the most punished anger there is. Let me explain. In my particular case, I'm one of the most marginalized people I know, because I'm not just a neurodivergent person, I'm more so a medium low functioning neurodivergent. I am a histrionic neurodivergent. So because of that, you know, I could annoy people quite easily. And because I could annoy people quite easily, people are absolutely merciless when you annoy them. You can be a cunt to them, they don't mind. You can be sweet to them, they don't mind. But if you're annoying, people are vicious when you are annoying. So because I annoyed people, people were vicious with me. And what I noticed is that when I was righteously angry about the fact that people were vicious with me, they'd be really merciless about it, and they would, you know, compound the violence on me. I had to be crying for people to, you know, for people to not be on my back. And even then, there was always going to be that one person that says, oh, she's just looking for attention, or she's just, you know, she's just crying for attention. So I literally had to be crying and vulnerable and completely beaten down before people would take my pain seriously. But I couldn't be angry. I couldn't be angry over the things that were happening to me. I couldn't be angry over the fact that people were being mean and vicious just because they saw something in me that they could abuse. I wasn't allowed to be angry about that. I wasn't allowed to be angry about any of that. But I could act like a cunt. I could be bigoted. I could be abusive. I could get angry over the smallest things, because then it would justify people's mental ass behavior towards me. Do you understand what I'm saying? I could be a horrible person all I wanted to be, because it justified their opinion of me. And you know how narcissists are. Sorry, I got to turn the heater on. It's really cold. You know how narcissists are about, you know, people you know, their victims acting out of pocket or acting crazy or just being mean or being overly vicious. You know how narcissists are about that. They enjoy that shit, because then they get a pass. Their behavior gets a pass. And that's the realization that I was reminded of this morning. I was reminded that somebody can yell at me over small shit, traumatize me, leave me with years of trauma over small shit. Do you understand what I'm saying? They can leave me with years of trauma, decades of trauma over small shit. They can feel free to do that. I can leave somebody with decades of trauma over small shit, because then it gives them justification to come after me. But God forbid I should defend myself. God forbid I should speak out against people who are knowingly harming me and who are not taking accountability. God forbid I should be angry about the fact that people are trafficking me. God forbid I should be angry about childhood abuse from my own family. God forbid I should be angry about the sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, trafficking, physical torture. God forbid I should be angry about that. God forbid I should be angry about the NHS knowingly being negligent about my health. God forbid I should be angry with the staff faculty who know that I'm being trafficked by my own government and are facilitating that shit. God forbid I should be angry about the fact that I'm watching relatives of mine being murdered. But also, God forbid that I should acknowledge that some of those same relatives are the ones who have been partaking in my torture. God forbid I should be angry about the fact that for 5 years of my teenage years, there was somebody trying to groom me to betray my own mother. God forbid I should be angry about that. God forbid I should be angry at almost 2 years. It's coming up to 2 years of racist harassment, of bigoted harassment, of ableist harassment. Almost 2 fucking years of smear campaigns, of break-ins. God forbid I should be angry about that. God forbid I should be angry about landlord negligence. God forbid I should be angry about people calling me mad for having the temerity to be mentally ill after decades of abuse and trafficking that nobody's done anything about and nobody even wants to hear about. God forbid I should be angry about any of those things. But I can be a cunt though. That's cool. I can yell at people who don't deserve it. That's cool with everybody, because then they get to be justified in being cunts towards me. Why do you think I haven't had like all of the mistakes that I've made in my past? Why do you think MI5 haven't turned around and used that against me yet? Why do you think they haven't said anything to me? Why do you think they haven't tried to use, you know, my past or stuff like that, stuff that I've said to people or done to people? Why do you think they haven't used that on me yet? Why do you think they haven't used it? It's because if I do something wrong, or, you know, even if it is at the fraction of what MI5 have done to me, or what these people have done to me, or what whole neighborhoods have done to me, even if it's only a fraction, they're not going to bring that shit up. Guess why? Because it satisfies them. It makes me look like a cunt. It makes me look like the villain. So it satisfies them. But let me be angry over almost 4 decades of trafficking, of abuse, of control, of family betraying me and being my handlers. Let me be angry at 4 decades of that shit. Of course they had to give me bone loss and shrink my organs. Of course they had to fucking bombard me with electronic weaponry. Of course they had to do that. Because let me be angry over 4 decades of this shit. And let me express that anger. Every single thing that I've been feeling as a result of what they've done to me, they're going to feel. And they're going to be damned if they're going to experience that. And then on top of that, you have to consider a bad reputation is how a king falls. If you fall in the eyes of other people, then it inspires other people to come after you. If I was to have my anger over 4 decades of abuse justified, well, not over four decades, almost 4 decades. If I was to have almost 4 decades of abuse and trafficking by my own fucking government and by some members of my own fucking family, if I was to turn around and justify, you know, release that justified anger, release that righteous anger, there are a lot of fucking people who would never recover from that. But let me act like a cunt though. Let me yell at people. Let me be the villain. They're cool with that, but no righteous anger. Why do you think they're still harassing me? It's not because I'm mean. It's not because they think I'm mean. It's because they can't villainize anything against me with. They've been trying to find something on me. MI5 have been tracking me all my life. They've got all the fucking tea, and yet they've got these fucking idiots. They've gone out now, but they've got these fucking idiots trying to find something on me to use. It's like, so that they can feel justified in what they're doing. I can't make this up. I can't make this up. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why they've been cunts to me for 2 fucking years. That's why the previous neighbours have been harassing me for over a year. It's not just because it's their job. It's because they know I'm right. And they know my anger is righteous. So they want to push me into a situation where I express anger non-righteously. That's always been the blueprint. That's always been the point of this program. And they're not just doing it to me. They're not just doing it to TIs either. They're doing it to everyone. Remember what happened with the Black Lives Matter movement, right? You got George Floyd, who died at the hands of police. We all saw him being choked. Before him was Eric Carter. We also Eric Carter being murdered by police right in front of our eyes, and the only person that got arrested was the person who shot the video. At the time, anyway. So we all saw, we saw black men being murdered right in front of our eyes. It stoked up our anger, because it should stoke up our anger. It stoked up our anger. And at the height of this movement, there were about, I think, 6 black activists that had been killed in the space of 2 years. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that black rights activists were put on government watch lists by the FBI. Now, you know how the FBI are about black communities in America. Okay? So that whole thing, the whole thing with George Floyd and, Black Lives Matter, that was used to gauge a reaction from the public and see who would be a threat to the status quo. Because remember, there are ties with Israel with regards to this. There are ties with Israel there and the UN. Remember that, there are certain types of people who have been helping out the US and the UK government. I don't need to say who those types of people are. Okay? Begins with N. Okay? So the Black Lives Matter movement happened, and the FBI plotted black people on a watch list, or black activists on a watch list in America. I'll be willing to bet that 6 black activists died, 6 black men died within the space of 2 years because of that watch list. I'd be willing to bet they were murdered because of that watch list. So the Black Lives Matter movement was used to ascertain who would be the biggest threat against the government or against the status quo, and to either have them taken out or placed on a watch list to be permanently isolated and subjected to cruel and unusual punishment. Okay? So that was the George Floyd thing. And now with Free Palestine, they're going to do the same thing. Now, there are a lot of people calling for an end to Palestinian oppression, calling for an end to Hebrew oppression. There are a lot of people calling out for that. Okay? But it's important for the government, because the government want to maintain their power and the government want to maintain the status quo. So it's important for them. What they're doing is they're ascertaining who out of Free Palestine, who is saying Free Palestine, that's an actual threat. That is a true threat to us. Whoever those people are, we're going to add them to the watch list. We're going to add them to the weapons experimentation. We're going to add them to it. So that's A. B, if the UN gets involved, I don't want to say anything more than that, but I want people to remember Operation Crimson Mist. The same thing that happened with Rwanda, which is why the Rwanda genocide is being brought up. Association, conditioning people. The same thing that happened in Rwanda. If the UN gets involved in Israel, remember Operation Crimson Mist. Remember those 3 words. The same Operation Crimson Mist in Rwanda is going to be the same Operation Crimson Mist in Palestine, in the Palestine-Israel border. That is what's going to happen if the UN gets involved, because the UN's got ties to Israel. The UN's got ties to Israel, and most importantly, the Five Eyes, including the US and the UK, both of whom have thrown their support behind Israel. And as for the people of Gaza, I can see things getting worse for them, unfortunately. As horrible and as horrific as things are, I don't feel like it's going to get any better, because again, once the UN gets involved, it's... And the thing is, the UN aren't supposed to have an army, I don't think. I don't think they have an army, but you have to remember the Israelis and the UK and the US have some of the most advanced military weapons in the world. You've got to remember that. There's Free Palestine business. Again, I say Free Palestine with my fucking chest. I don't give a damn. I'll say it with my chest. All of this is used as an opportunity to see who is the biggest threat and to dispose of those threats, or to have those threats placed on a watch list. I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to reveal anybody's tea, but I know of at least one peace organization that every single political party in the UK has turned their back on. There's one peace group here in the UK that all the political parties have turned their back on. That's strategic, because anybody who is against war, period, doesn't take sides. They're like, no, we want peace. We don't care which side is in the right. We want peace so that civilians, as many civilians as possible, can live. But if you're running a global depopulation effort and you've got people in your midst who are against depopulation through violence, then what do you think happens? They're targeted. Luckily, this group that I'm talking about, who I'm not naming, they still have quite a big following. They're still doing really, really big things. But yeah, this whole Free Palestine stuff, like literally every political movement where oppressed people hold the spotlight, that is used as an opportunity to see who will side with the oppressed people. And then it's used as an opportunity to decide who could best help those oppressed people, and thus have those organizations, those groups, or those people taken out of the picture. Because that's what happens with righteous anger in this world. That's what happens. Even the righteous anger that we feel over God knows how many people being killed in Heze. Even our righteous anger over that is being weaponized against us. Is being weaponized against the people. And again, MI5 are a part of all of that. They're a part of all of that. Again, there are so many things that I could say about the way this country is running things. There are so many things that I could say, but yeah, our anger is being used against us. Our righteous anger is being weaponized against us. And it's been this way for like millennia now. You've got bigger powers bullying and terrorizing everyone else. You know, and we're allowed to be awful to each other. That's allowed. We're even allowed to be awful to rich people. But we're not allowed righteous anger. We're not allowed to be angry about the things that we should be angry about, because when we are, it's weaponized against us. And we are slaughtered, obliterated, genocided, abused, trafficked for it. You know, I used to think, why are people such cowards about the things that truly matter? And this is why. This is why. Dealing with a very violent supremacist society, extremely violent, extremely psychopathic, sociopathic, and narcissistic, that relies on a strong hierarchy to survive. Righteous anger threatens that hierarchy. Speaking of which, I need to talk to you guys about the MI5 situation. They actually wrote back to me again, because I remember you asking, well, it wasn't you who asked, but it was me who asked MI5 to provide the copies of the correspondence that I already have. So this is what they provided me with. Hang on, let me just angle this downwards so I don't dox myself. Hang on. All right. So, dear Miss Deacon, I refer to your request for the correspondence between yourself and the security services, which we have considered as a request for a copy of information under Section 95(2) of the Data Protection Act, the Act pursuant to your subject access request dealt with under our reference DPA 940. We have conducted a search of security service records and have produced a schedule of the relevant correspondence. That schedule accompanies this letter. Where that correspondence is in the form of emails or phone calls, the content of a summary of the content has been provided in the schedule. Where the correspondence is in the form of a letter, we have provided copies of those letters, specifically items 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, and 12 of the schedule. The security service does not hold any further information which you are entitled to under the Act. I want you guys to remember what that means. I'm going to repeat the phrase again. The security service does not hold any further information which you are entitled to access under the Act. That means they do have information on you, but you're not entitled to access it. Remember, they word themselves very, very carefully, okay? You should not take this response to imply that the security service does or does not hold such information. Well, it's either you have the information or you don't have the information. If you're saying that you do or do not, it means that you do, and you're not providing it. This reflects the policy of successive governments of applying the principle of neither confirm nor deny with regards to activities of the security and intelligence agencies in the interest of protecting national security. I'm not being funny, but the papers have openly said that the DWP are spying on people, no? They're spying on financial records, trying to get rid of benefit fraud. You've got people, you know, where during the height of the pandemic, when everybody was in their homes, you tried to get people to spy on one another. Doesn't information like that get back to MI5? Or especially GCHQ, because GCHQ are the ones holding the info. I'm confused. You literally confessed to what you were doing in the papers. You literally confessed to what you were doing. So how are you going to play the neither confirm nor deny thing here? This has to be a legal thing. It has to be a legal thing. I enclose a leaflet explaining more about your rights to personal data under the Data Protection Act 2018 and about the appeals procedure should you be dissatisfied with this response. Yours sincerely, the data controller. All right. So, let's see the copies. So, this first correspondence was sent by myself on the 20th of April 2000. So, they've written the dates wrong. They've written the dates wrong. Hang on. Wait a minute. Or have they written the dates wrong? No. This must have been a few years ago that I wrote this. No, my bad. This must have been a few years ago, and I must have asked for more information than I'm asking for right now. Okay, so it's a good thing that they put this down, because I wouldn't have remembered otherwise. So this is when I wrote to them in April 2015. Now, I think 2015, that's almost 10 years ago. Where was I in 2015? I was living in Willesden Green, I believe, still. During 2015, no, hang on, 2015. I think I was living in Willesden Green at the time. So yeah, because I wouldn't have done this under my dad's roof at the time. So it was 20th of the 4th, 2015. And I must have been living in Willesden Green when I wrote this. And it says, by email, I would like the overall file that has been compiled on me over the last 19 years. According to the Freedom of Information Act, I am free to request such a file. If the cost is high, I will happily pay installments. If the information is too sensitive, then okay, typo, I have to assume current investigations against me are unlawful, off the books, and liable for prosecution. Thank you. I was a bit green when it came to this. But let me see. You got 23rd of the 4th, 2015. And it says, hello, I would like the file you have compiled on me over the last 19 years based on GCHQ's surveillance on me. And again, they've got information on everybody, so they should be able to provide it. Seeing as they have surveyed every person in the country, it stands to reason that you will have a file on them, especially if that person is under investigation. According to the Freedom of Information Act, a prompt response is required at the very least. Thank you. And for 7 years, I didn't follow this up. But here we are in 2022. Once again in April. I'm kind of sensing a pattern with this. Why is it always in April? Now, let's see. 11th of April 2022. Security Services. Making a subject access request for the period of Jan 2012 to April 2022. And then we have... yeah, this is where I'm familiar. This is what I'm familiar with. So we've got the 18th of July 2023. Summary of core. Query regarding postal orders can be accepted of a check for instead of a check for subject access request. Okay. So we've got the 31st of July. Letter enclosing copy of ID, utility bill and check. The 17th of August 2023. So that's the 18th of July and the 31st of July. 17th of August 2023. This is from my okay. Response to letter regarding subject access request, requesting a valid check. This is true. 23rd of August 2023. Letter that came with the check. 28th of August 2023. Security Services summary of call, asking whether the check that has been sent has been cashed yet. 28th of August 2023, same thing. 29th of August 2023, response to letter requiring, response to letter regarding subject access request, requesting a valid check. So I sent a dud check again, unfortunately. Now received, September the 11th. Wow. September the 11th, letter enclosing check. 13th of September 2023, response to subject access request. 25th of September 2023, by email, following the most recent correspondence from MI5 explaining their decision surrounding my data, DPA 940, I requested copies from correspondence that I already have. I thank MI5 for the promptness of their responses so far and look forward to hearing from yourselves again. 5th of October 2023, by email, to whom it may concern. This is an update of my last correspondence to MI5, which has, to my knowledge, been unanswered so far. I previously requested copies of information that I am already in possession of. It occurred to me that some of this information proves ongoing harassment, medical violations of the Hippocratic Oath, police negligence, and emotional abuse and misconduct from at least one major charity in support of perpetrators against me. Again, all of this is true. All of this has got evidence. It occurs to me that given that my request was refused under Section 94, that you may have already been aware of such crimes. There's no way they're not aware of it. They're literally hiring people to fuck with me right now. There's no way they're not aware. You are also probably aware of repeated attempts, some successful, of suppression of evidence been engaged in and still continues now. Given the circumstances, I do feel that it is urgent that I receive the copies of correspondence you have offered me in place of access to all my information over the last 10 years. I must thank you for your swift responses and cooperations thus far, and I do look forward to hearing from you all again. Sincerest regards, Miss Fabienne M. Deacon. Okay, cool. So this was to MI5, and yeah, I scaled, hang on, they got this wrong. Let me just see, because I sent this letter on the 27th of July. Maybe it was 27th of July, 23rd of July, 28th of July, something like that. It's 23rd of July. Let me see. Hang on, it's 28th of July 2023. So I think what they've kind of included here are electronic correspondence. So I think what they've done with the paper correspondence is that they've just attached it. So yeah, this is the letter that I sorry, I've doxed myself again. This is the letter that I gave to people, what do you call it? This is the letter that I gave to MI5 on the 28th of on June the 28th, okay? And yeah, all kinds of stuff here. Yeah, so basically what they've done with the paper correspondence is that they sent me the paper correspondence. They've just given it to me, right? And what they've done is they've kind of noted down the electronic responses, which is, you know, electronic correspondence, which is, you know, fair, I think, and I think an act of common sense. So that's what they've done, right? Now, it really begs the question, If my thing is this, right, it really begs the question, if they have nothing on me, besides what was just given, they have no information besides what was just given, why would they need to cover everything up under Section 94 of the Act? Because I've got it right here. They sent me a copy. I'm going to read it to you again so that you guys know. Listen to this, right? Hang on. I've got to make sure I don't dox myself. All right? We have conducted a search of security service records and have determined that the security service does not process any personal data within the scope of your request, which you are entitled to have under Section 94 of the Act. Now, what Section 94 is, right, sorry. What Section 94 is, right, is a safeguard against ruining the reputation of MI5 or MI6. That's what Section 94 is. If you look it up online, really it's about them not revealing any information that could possibly be harmful to the organization. Guys, like, how do you say in the same breath that we're not going to be able to process the information, and yet you're going to turn around and say we may or may not have the information? You have it. So you have it, and you're not giving it to me under Section 94. If you don't believe me, people, I'm going to link Section 94 so that you can understand what I'm talking about. But under Section 94 of the Act, they're not giving me the information on myself that I have requested. Really think about why that is. Really think about why that is. Now, I'm going to leave it here. And I'm going to link the Section 94 of the Act, and I'm going to link previous videos talking about, like a previous video talking about MI5's response in the Section 94 Act thing. I'm going to go, and I hope you guys have a blessed day, you know, especially my fellow TRs, because boy, God knows. And for all of you who are angry on behalf of other people who truly deserve protection and deserve care and deserve compassion, my heart goes out to you, because, yeah. But anyway, love you guys. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.